Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Bandai ThunderCats 6-inch Tygra. The ThunderCats toy line from Bandai, as well as the cartoon, have been in question as of late. Are we getting any more action figures? Is the cartoon going to come back for a second season? All of that is completely up in the air right now. And this particular figure right here is incredibly hard to find, because most stores are clearancing out their ThunderCats toys before this guy is even hitting the shelf. But luckily, I was able to get a hold of one, and we're going to take a look at him here today. Now, Tygra comes in that slender blister card packaging we've seen all of these 6-inch figures come in, featuring some really cool artwork of the character right there on the front, along with the ThunderCats logo across the top. The back of that package gives us a look at the Tygra figure as well as a brief bio, and shows off the other figures available in Bandai's 6-inch ThunderCats toy line. Now, looking over the actual details on this Tygra figure here, I have to be honest, I was incredibly impressed after opening this guy up and taking a look at him. The figure features his green armored outfit that you see him wearing in the actual cartoon series. He's got the red ThunderCats logo right there on the chest, and then the actual armor pieces are a mixture of dark greens, blacks, and even a dark brown. He's got a very metallic silver painted belt wrapped around his waist, which appears to be a separate piece, but it is attached to the figure. It can't be removed. And then you can see on the left arm, he's got the full armor piece going down the arm, whereas on the right arm, it's open with just the little bracelet around the wrist. Now, here's one really cool thing to notice. I've always nitpicked on these figures that one of the things I didn't like were the glaring unpainted black pins that you see in all the joints. Tygra here does not really have this problem. You'll notice that these shoulders don't have the big large black pins that were always the most noticeable. They're completely covered up. He does still have black pins in the actual elbow joints, but they don't tend to look as bad, especially on the left arm since he's wearing an armored piece. And that's really it. The exposed pin joints, which of course the shoulders being the worst, seem to be corrected on this figure, which is something I had been hoping that Bandai would be rectifying on future figures. Now take a look at the actual face sculpt on this figure. It's actually really nicely done. It's got a very good paint job, and it's very reminiscent of the animated look of the character right out of the animated series. Now, the big thing on this that I really noticed right off the bat is that he is not made of that glossy, shiny plastic. Cheetara was the same way. She was much more of a matte finish, and Tygra's really got that going on here too. But you can really notice it especially in the face, because he doesn't have that bright shine going on, and the armor and everything has a really nice matte to it. Plus, the plastic feels different. It feels more sturdy and not as brittle as the other figures. Looking at him side by side with Lion-O, you can see the big difference, and it almost feels like Tygra is out of a different figure line. That's how different the plastics look and feel to me. Alright guys, now that we've seen Tygra, let's go ahead and take a look at his articulation. Now, all of the 6-inch figures have had a pretty decent range of motion, so let's see what we got here. The head is able to move both left and right. There really isn't much up and down movement, unfortunately. The shoulders are on ball hinge type joints, so they can move up and down and rotate around. You've got a swivel right above the bicep there. You've got a double jointed elbow, which is really nice. The wrists are able to swivel, and they are actually on little ball joints. You can actually pop the hands out of sockets. They hold pretty snug, but you can see how it's on a little ball, so it does have a little bit of up and down movement as well as the swivel there. The torso is on a rocker, so you can rock that all the way around. Plus, you do have a little bit of a swivel in the waist, though it does seem to stick about halfway across. The legs are on nice hinge joints. The belt does kind of hinder the movement a little bit, so you can't get like a full splits, but they do move forward and backwards really nice. You do have double jointed knees there. And then the ankles are on pegs that allow you to move both up and down. So there's a pretty decent range of motion there that allows for some pretty good posability. So you can get some pretty cool action poses out of your Tygra, and good for play for the kids. Tygra does include a few accessories. The first one, holstered in his silver belt, is a silver blaster. Now, there's no extra painted details or anything. It is all just that same metallic silver, but it is a cool design, and it's made of a very firm plastic. It has very minimal pliability to it, so it's not as soft and gummy as a lot of the accessories we've seen in Bandai's ThunderCats lines. His right hand is molded with a trigger finger, so you can actually place the blaster right in that hand, and it fits very nice and firm and looks great for posing. You can put it in his left hand too, but that hand isn't really molded for the gun, so it doesn't hold as good. Then, of course, Tygra couldn't be complete without his signature whip. Now, the whip is just all a solid blue plastic, so there's no painted details. The little gem pieces at the end aren't red like in the cartoon, unfortunately. But it is still nice looking. It is made of a softer, more pliable plastic, but it still isn't as gummy as some of the accessories like Lion-O's Sword of Omens, which is really strange. The whip can actually be held in either one of his hands. There's a groove on the palm of both of his hands that the whip presses into so that he can hold onto it nice and tight, and you can get some pretty cool poses of him wielding that whip. Alright guys, it's comparison time! Here's this new Tygra standing alongside the vintage Tygra from the LJN toy line. Here's where you can see a big difference in the design of the two characters. And here he is alongside the massive 8-inch Classics Tygra from Bandai. So my overall consensus on this Tygra figure, he is the single best figure that Bandai has produced for their ThunderCats toy line. There is no doubt about it. He is the best made figure. His articulation is all nice and tight. He doesn't have those glaring black pins in his shoulders. The paint job is really well done. He is not made of shiny plastic. The weapons are not made of gummy material anymore. It's amazing. Like I said earlier, it feels almost like he is from a different toy line. When you stand him next to some of the earlier figures like Lion-O and Panthro, it's like there's a night and day difference between them. However, it is still really cool posing him with the full team because we do have just about the entire full team in 6-inch form now, minus Wily Kit and Wily Cat. Unfortunately, we may not be getting those because this Tygra here may very well be the last figure produced by Bandai. And unfortunately, I find that kind of sad because it feels like Bandai was finally on the right track with this figure. They were finally giving us some really great 6-inch style ThunderCats action figures, and this very well may be the last one we see. But maybe if we keep our fingers crossed, who knows what the future will hold. Maybe Bandai will surprise us by releasing more. Time will tell. The 6-inch Tygra figure is starting to trickle into some stores, but like I said, he's really hard to find, so good luck, happy hunting, and until next time.